Hello everyone, Kim Victoria here. This is a quick video on creating a tonal chart with acrylic paint. This is such a useful thing to do to develop your seeing, the gradation of tones, and it also helps you develop a, a better understanding of mixing on your palette. And I'm not as experienced with acrylics as I am with oil, so this is a wonderful exercise for me to do. So I hope that you will do it. I'm just using a newsprint pad and the styrofoam plate as a palette, inexpensive materials so that you don't feel intimidated or feel like you're wasting anything. But we need the physical experience of doing it. So I hope this helps you. Thank you for being here and, well, follow along. Let's see what we can do here. So what I have here is just a simple flat brush. This particular one is a Winsor Newton University flat number 6. And I have a titanium white, and this is actually raw umber. I opened up my tube of black only to find out, and it's a full tube, it's a shame, but it's no good. One of the things about acrylic paint is they're very sensitive to cold temperatures. You do not want to get your acrylic paints to the freeze. So it's something, these were out in a garage or storage, and they apparently got to freezing and it coagulates them. And this will be true of your acrylic house paint as well as tube paint. So just something to think about. You always want to keep your acrylic paints above freezing for sure. So even if it's like a house paint, you want to keep a certain amount of it for touch-ups later. You want to put it in the house. So put it in a closet or put the excess in a jar and put that in a closet and just mark it well. But you know, acrylic paints are so sensitive. I have lost acrylic paints before, and yeah, something to think about. Anyway, let's go ahead and make this tonal scale, this light to dark. And the reason I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. Now, it's an important practice. It's something that if you haven't done it, and I had already practiced a little bit, that's why there's already a mixture on there. But it's one of those things that helps you to see the tones. You get to see how they shift. You get to see how it just helps you to see more. And one of the reasons I need to do this, because there's always a good reason for me to do it, let me see, is I am not as familiar with acrylics as I am oils. And acrylics tend to shift to a darker tone as they dry, at least in my experience. So I am just adding a little bit of dark to the light. This is true of any of your colors. It works really well to always start with your lighter tone, whatever that color is, and add dark to it, because it's easier to darken a light than it is to lighten a dark. And I hope that makes sense. So I need to get a little more difference going here. Those top 3 tones are very similar. But notice that I am continually just working in the same little puddle of paint. And the reason for that is because I can actually compare what I'm mixing with what's already there. I can see the change happening. So that's not quite happening. And this is where this is such a good experience. We want to see changes happening. Because when you go to paint, you're not going to want to have to keep reapplying, reapplying, reapplying. You want to be able to mix a color or a tone the way you want it so that when you go to put it down, it is the color and tone that you want it to be. You don't want to have to keep reapplying and reapplying and reapplying. So our palette is the perfect place to experiment with our colors and our tones until we get it where we want it. Now you can, of course, mix colors with a palette knife. My teacher didn't do that. He was keen on mixing with a brush, and part of the reason for that is in the actual painting, when you mix with a brush, you get some variations. It's not, I mean, I'm making a point here to make this smooth, but when you're painting a composition, it's rather nice to have brushstrokes that have a little bit of variety in them. And I hope that makes sense. It just makes the painting more lively. So now I'm just going to take some pure raw umber because I've run out of paper. All right. Not too bad, not too bad. I've got kind of samey up here, kind of samey here. So it can be challenging to get a step by step ladder of tones. So I'm going to go ahead and do a second column over here, and I'm going to speed it up. See if I do a better job on this side. Okay, now because I don't have black, that's as dark as I can get, so it's not an absolute black, but it's pretty close. Just put a little bit more. And I can see the gradation. And just to be honest, I need more practice working with acrylics. I have a much easier time with oils. But I like acrylics because they don't give off a smell, and in the wintertime when everything's closed up, oils, just even the linseed oil in oil paint starts to get a little bit fumy, and I definitely don't like to use any kind of solvent or even mediums with oil paint in the wintertime when everything is all closed up. So acrylics are a wonderful alternative, but I haven't been practicing with them as much as I've practiced with oils. I've done hundreds of paintings with oils and almost nothing with acrylics. So this is a good experience for me, and it seems like it's something you don't need to do, and I understand that, but we have a physical experience with the paint when we actually do the physical practice. We can't get the idea of keep working in the same puddle, keep working in the same puddle over and over again and making adjustments within this little puddle of color or tone that we're working with. We need to develop that experience. Just like I jumped from white to a little bit, I could have gone a little bit less gray here. It was a little bit of a jump. These are very similar. And what I see happening is that when I put the paint chip down, as this is drying, the values are changing a little bit. What seemed to be more different when I put it down is changing a little bit. So this is just an aspect of acrylics that's, well, it's something you have to develop. Working with is the slight tonal shift that acrylics will make. They'll get a little bit darker as they dry. At least that's what they've done in my experience. So we're going to use these columns in the next video for acrylics by putting our colors next to it, and we're going to be looking at the tone of colors and talking about a little bit of the words that go with that, because that's one of the things that's a useful thing to know is the language of painting. So this is a tonal scale, and you might also hear it spoken of as a value scale. Now you can buy a tonal or value chart. And it's like a little piece of cardboard that has the different values or tones on it, and there's a little hole in the middle of them. I don't have one right now, or I would show it to you. That can be a very handy thing for you to get your tone right with your color or your gray before you put it in your painting. So I will have to pick up one at some point because it is a handy thing to have. But for right now, this is a fabulous practice. I highly recommend that you do this and then come back and do the tonal scale with your colors. So this is really all I have for you today. I hope this helps you, and I hope you do it because you'll be surprised at what this simple little experience will help you to achieve in developing your seeing around the tones or values. All right, I'll stop for now. I hope this helped you. Thank you so much for watching, and join me again for the color chart. Bye bye.